All right, so Tucker Carlson has been fired from Fox News. I There are a lot of things to say about this. Normally, I'm don't even get into the fray about when it comes to Tucker Carlson. People are very opinionated, and oftentimes I just don't even think the anything productive can really come out of these exchanges. So I normally avoid it because it's usually about issues, important issues, but topics that I've discussed and many of other people have discussed and also have the same point of view on. So it's not like he's giving us something brand new that I need to cover his specific take on, or just anything like that. And it's like I said, it's really not worth the headache a lot of times. This time, I felt compelled to say something because a lot of the reaction that I saw from people that I respect and people that I know have the same goals when it comes to these important issues, whether it be the war in Ukraine, opposing imperialism and the endless wars, or the vaccine mandates and the whole COVID scam. All of that's been propagated by the government, the lockdowns, and all of these overreaches that were not backed by any science. But I'm seeing that people are cheering on something that is objectively a negative to anybody who has made it a priority to inform people about what's going on in any of these important issues. So I can't really just ignore that because we're cheering. So a lot of people are cheering on regression, and if we're going in the same direction, we got to be on the same page about what's could be a positive tool to be used to advance our agenda or something that's not. And Tucker Carlson's show, it definitely was a mixed bag. I mean, I 100% sure was not somebody tuning in to Fox News every night to catch Carlson's opinion. I will not say I watch most of his segments, but I've seen quite a few of his segments on important issues, and of course on issues that I disagree with him on. But the value that he's added to the discourse, I think for our let's take the war in Ukraine for example. Everybody in mainstream media, every political figure, anybody you see with any sort of clout talking about this issue is in no uncertain terms pushing to escalate even further into an armed conflict with a nuclear power. Tucker Carlson is the only major political figure on TV right now who would do segments regularly exposing NATO expansion that led to this war in Ukraine, the violation of the Minsk Accords, the the U.S. backed coup that was done in Ukraine, the war profiteering, the way that this is not about defending Ukraine's freedom and democracy or any of that bullshit, but this is just furthering the military industrial complex. He's the only person on TV talking about that. Only person on TV bringing up that point of view. So yes, he says some terrible things on whatever issues, but let's be real about that issue alone. And again, there's any number of issues that he's stuck his neck out on. But this issue of Ukraine alone, we're talking about the risking the possibility of a nuclear exchange, and he's the only voice on TV pushing back against that. I think that's valuable. End of the story. I think that's valuable. And now that he isn't at Fox News, millions of people will not be getting that message at a time when arguably they need to be hearing it more than ever. So again, I don't get how you can be an anti-imperialist opposing the war in Ukraine and then you go around and cheer when somebody who is spreading your message to millions of people is now no longer has that platform to reach that audience. I don't understand how you can cheer for that. And it comes down to, so like the two main like schools of thoughts that I'm disagreeing with on this issue of Ukraine on the so-called left. There's some people who are doing backflips about it because they think it's a good thing. And then there's just some people who, anytime Tucker Carlson is mentioned by anti-imperialists or people on the left, people who are against anti-establishment, they feel like they need to remind everybody about all the terrible things that Tucker Carlson has done in his career, and to negate whatever positive thing that might be said. And let me just get on that for a second, because what is your end goal there? I understand that you want to provide context. A lot of what I do on this show is providing necessary context on important issues that I think is left out of the discussion. So I understand that. But again, it's quite literally nitpicking, because, like I said, this issue is at, there's so much weight on this issue, so much hinges on this issue. The entire global economy is being wrecked by this war in Ukraine. People are paying out of insane prices for food and energy around the world, tying back to this war. Again, the risk of a nuclear exchange is, honestly, I think, is higher than it's ever been. And not to mention just the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the in the battlefield being killed for absolutely no reason. I get, and like this Mint Press article about Tucker Carlson and his past and his dad's ties to the CIA, his ties to the CIA, how he's a billionaire from the Swanson family, and all those things are true. Yes, they're all true. But what is the end goal here? You have somebody, you yourself acknowledge that this is an existential issue, and that millions of people need to know the truth about what's going on if anything's going to change. You have somebody getting us closer to whatever, I don't know what the that critical number is for when we finally reach a turning point, and there's pressure, so much pressure on the US government that they have to back down from this war. I don't know what that number is, but we had somebody who was informing millions of people every single week and bringing them closer to our position on that, to get us closer to the goal that we wanted. So to come out every single time he does a good segment on Ukraine, every single time he gets credit for exposing the war profiteers, for going in depth talking about NATO expansion. What is there to gain that you have to go out of your way to produce content to take the legs out from underneath just a solid segment, segment criticizing the war machine? What is what do you gain from that? I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand that. Do you? And so this was an example that just popped into my head. So say it isn't just Tucker Carlson. Say he wasn't the only one doing it. And then next week, a bunch of hosts and anchors, they found Jesus. They wake up and they say, whoa, this is crazy. We're all really pushing for war with a nuclear power. This is insane. Let me reverse what I've been saying. Let me tell my audience the truth and talk about how this is nothing but the power grab for the military-industrial complex, and a money grab at that. Let me go and tell the audience the truth. If 30 TV hosts, news hosts, came out here and made the same exact arguments that we've been making about Ukraine, Is it now our obligation to come out and drop what we're doing and produce endless content, digging through all of the horrible things, the vile things that they've all these, and if they're cable news, corporate news hosts, they've all done some terrible shitty things and shitty reporting. Let's go dig through their record and muddy the waters and create a whole uh like a whole non sequitur and have a completely separate discussion about, instead of acknowledging the fact that more people are being introduced to the audience, or larger audiences being introduced to the ideas that we're trying to spread ourselves. Why why would we? So at that point we would default position, objectively what we'd be doing is, there's some people telling the truth about Ukraine, and then we come out here and drop what we're doing to shit on them and attack their character, whether it's warranted or not. All those things could be true, but at the end of the day, it's all you're making an enemy out of somebody who's agreeing with you on this very narrow issue when you don't need to. it's it's one of those things where you have to take yes for an answer. You're never because if you hold this standard that some people have, when it comes to Tucker Carlson, that they feel like they need to rebut anytime he does something positive with the shitty things that he's done. Like, if you hold that standard, then nobody, uh 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 and and I'm not saying that because Tucker Carlson is saying these things about Ukraine. He's saying these things about the duopoly and the corporate rule in this country, and he's saying these things about Julian Assange and the dirty war in Syria and the fraudulent chemical claims of chemical gas attacks. I'm not saying because he said all those things, we need to go make Tucker Carlson the leader of the left movement, the leader of the anti-establishment movement, and crown him the populist king. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, his show, when he goes out there and spreads this message to millions of people, objectively, that's an effective tool to our ends. So why not embrace it? Why are we going to come out here and fight it every single time he does something that if I had the ability to reach millions of people like Tucker Carlson on his does every night, of course I would do that, but I don't. All the Ukraine content that I produce and many of my other colleagues and friends in independent media, none of that has the reach of one Tucker Carlson segment. Let's be real about that. Or a week of Tucker Carlson segments. So why not just use the tool and spread the message to people that we know we definitely wouldn't be able to on our own because of social media censorship and all these other things that limit the reach that we have. So like I said, I just think it's objectively a bad thing to have the sole voice who is bringing clarity on important issues just being gone off of TV, because millions of people aren't going to be able to find them now, and they aren't going to be exposed to that information. So that's my take on the Tucker Carlson drama. I'm feel like I'm going to do some shorter videos of like some different clips and segments that he's done on his show, and just give you all the visual of what I'm saying, because some of you might not follow news as closely. Some of you may have only seen like one Tucker Carlson segment, and you might be very confused why I'm doing all of this to about a Fox News host leaving his show. But at his show, he's platformed people who were blacklisted, real anti-establishment voices that have been blacklisted, and you would never find anywhere else. He gave them a platform to spread their message to millions of people, a message that I agree with. He had his mind changed on Julian Assange, and then he went and advocated the president of the United States personally, lobbied him personally to try to get Julian Assange released. So, like I said, it's a mixed bag. It's confusing as hell, and I don't pretend to know his motives, but I feel like there are a lot of people who are who want us to, or who are actively putting aside the reality, the objective reality that we all know is true, that we could all see with our own eyes, that the number one news host, the most watched news host in the entire country on TV, on COVID, on the war in Ukraine, on the war in Syria, on censorship, social media censorship, and corporate censorship, on the duopoly and the one party corporate rule that we have in this country. They it's like their value system is off, and to them all those things don't carry as much weight as this, and it's not even this fully formed theory of what Tucker Carlson actually is. Is he some CIA plant meant to disrupt the left? Is he misdirecting people and trying to bring them back to the duopoly or whatever it is? All of these theories about what his sinister secret plan really is, like, they put more weight into something that is unknown, that nobody really knows what his motive is. They put more weight into that and the terrible things that he's done to make it as if all of the positive just doesn't exist, or it's just completely erased. I don't know how you do that math. I genuinely don't know how you do that math. Yes, he lied to get us into the Iraq war. Yes, he cheerleaded that war. All those things. He's a shitty person for all those things. If there was a hell, people like that will likely be there. That's very true. What does that have to do with him telling the truth about Ukraine? I so that's how I feel about it. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm sure it will be hotly debated, and I'm ready for it. So please, if you can, support the show. Links to Patreon, PayPal, Cash App, all in the description box of this video. I appreciate you all so much. And I'm coming